Welcome to 21st Sports 2015 season preview for the Green Bay Packers. And we're going to go over the roster and the season schedule and make picks for every single game in the season. So let's start off with their roster. And of course, under center, one of the greatest quarterbacks playing today. Definitely in the argument for one of the best. He's in his prime, and there's no one else who can really stand next to him that's in their prime at this time, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers coming off of a great season last year where he had 4,381 passing yards along with 38 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. He also had 269 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. So he had 40 total touchdowns last year. He's going to put up big numbers once again this year. Of course, Jordy Nelson is not going to be there. He got injured. He's gone down. But the thing is, as great as Jordy is, Aaron Rodgers is really the key to this offense and have it going. Back when he was injured a couple years ago, they still won the division. And without, Jordy Nelson, it's not going to, really hamper them moving forward. It hurts somewhat. Of course, Jordy is one of the best receivers, but the way the Packers play and the way Aaron Rodgers plays quarterback, it's not going to be as big of a, factor as a lot of people are pointing out. Some people think they're going to miss playoffs. I have them winning the division and going all the way to the Super Bowl. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. At running back, Eddie Lacy returns, and Eddie Lacy had a big season last year as well. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. He had 1,139 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. He also had 4 receiving touchdowns and 427 receiving yards off of 42 catches. So he's a dual threat out of the backfield and on the ground is Eddie Lacy, and he is rated in the top 5 in running backs on many projections for fantasy, but he's going to have a really big output, and Eddie Lacy's going to help them with the loss of Jordy Nelson. But a couple other guys that are going to help with that loss is Randall Cobb. He also is a little banged up, but Randall Cobb's going to be good to go, and Randall Cobb is right there with Jordy. Of course, everyone in Green Bay knows how good Randall Cobb is, and he's going to have a monster season. And Davante Adams is the other receiver. And Davante Adams, a lot of people don't know, but Davante Adams is a very talented receiver. He'll be able to step right in and fill that hole that Jordy's leaving. Of course, no one's Jordy. Jordy's like a 5-tool player, but still Davante Adams is more than capable of going in there and producing right away. He was doing really good last year, and now he's just going to get more looks, more opportunities to shine. And of course, they brought in James Jones, with the former Packer. He's with the Raiders, and now he's back with the Pack. And so he's going to help out, too. He's a big target. Then at tight end, you have Richard Rodgers. So we'll be seeing a lot of Rodgers to Rodgers connections, and of course, Corliss as well. So you got a couple tight ends there. So you got plenty of targets. Of course, fullback, crowd favorite, fan favorite, John Kuhn, who's also a great blocker, and he can pick up some yards in those short yardage situations as well and down in the goal line. So let's look at their defense. And on defense, you got a couple of changes. Most notably, A.J. Hawk is gone. But still, the Packers got a really good defense anchored up front by B.J. Raji in the nose tackle position. He is just a mound of just mass, just a big, powerful guy who shuts down the run out of BC. And he's had some big plays over the years. Like I said, he is the anchor for that run defense. And on each of his sides, you got Mike Purnell and Mike Daniels up front. And then the linebacking core, you got Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers on the outside. And Matthews had 11 sacks last year. Peppers had 9 sacks. He's been having a phenomenal resurgence in his career ever since going to Green Bay, formerly with Carolina. But he's been having really great performances in many games and coming up big as he's one of the premier pass rushers in the league, even though he is getting a little bit older. They also have Sam Barrington and Nate Palmer and linebacking. And so Barrington, we've seen him, shine, and we'll be interested to see what Palmer does now that he's going to be stepping in there for AJ. And then at corner, you got Casey Hayward and Sam Shields, both very capable corners. Sam Shields is a really good player. And then the strong safety, Morgan Burnett and Clinton Dix at free safety. Both very talented safeties. You got a strong secondary Clinton Dix had a monster year last year. He should have an even better year this year. And so the defense is solid for the Packers, and they will shut teams down. And like I said, there is the question, with A.J. Hawk gone, but I think that, Palmer will be able to go in there and perform. And with the rest of the players around them, they've got a really solid core that is still intact there in Green Bay on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, they got plenty of talent on offense. Let's just go over the special teams real quick. At kicker, Mason Crosby is a very talented kicker. Then Tim Masthay, which I probably just screwed up that name. I apologize. The punt returner is Micah Hyde. And Micah Hyde, he is very talented, and he comes up with some big plays. Also on defense as well, he comes up with big plays. And then the kick returner, Ty Montgomery. Of course, Micah Hyde will also be returning kicks as well. And Ty Montgomery is capable of taking it to the house. So they've got good special teams, good offense, good defense all around. They are a very talented team. That's why I have them projected to go 14-2, win the division, and go to the Super Bowl. But let's actually break down every individual game. Let's go over the schedule. Starting off, of course, Week 1, they'll be going to to face the Bears, and I believe they'll beat the Bears. They're more talented than the Bears all around. They've got just a better defense, a better quarterback, better offense, and they're going to outscore them, and they should shut them down. Of course, the Bears have some questions with their offense, especially at the receiver position, which is going to hurt them more than on the other side with Green Bay having lost to Jordy. Like I said, Jordy, he's a really good player, but I think that they'll be able to have other guys step in and perform and put up good numbers as long as Aaron Rodgers is under center. So Week 2, September 20th, we got a Sunday night football game against the Seattle Seahawks. It's 8:30 kickoff time. This is a big game right here. It always is. This one's in Green Bay, and that gives the edge to the Packers. The Packers are pretty much as close to impossible to beat in Lambeau Field as any other team is to beat in their home. There is no other atmosphere in football that is tougher to go into for a team to win than to go into Lambeau Field. The fans, the energy, just the aura, everything about it, and the way the Packers played there at home, it's like a sight to behold. It's like one of the wonders of the world. It's just amazing. It's awe-inspiring. And, Seattle, as good as they are, I think the Packers are going to edge them out in this one in a tight battle. They'll definitely be one to watch. It'll be naturally broadcast in prime time, so everybody will be watching. So then in Week 3, September 28th, another prime time game for the Packers. This time Monday Night Football, once again hosting in Lambeau Field. This time it's the Chiefs who are coming into town in Week 3, and I believe they'll beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are talented. I have them in the West, just like I have the Seahawks in their division, but the Packers are just a better team, and it's in Lambeau Field. So Aaron Rodgers should be able to put up the numbers against the Chiefs. It's going to be close. It's going to be a tightly contested game. It'll be an interesting game to see, too. As we saw last year, that the Chiefs actually gave the Patriots some trouble, and then the Patriots went on their run, and we know how that ended. So it'll be interesting to see here. This is an interesting early test in both of these games, the Seahawks coming in and then the Chiefs coming in, but I think the Packers are going to be able to win both of these games and win their first 3 to be 3-0. So that takes us to Week 4, October 4th, Sunday game, 4:25 kickoff in San Francisco against the 49ers, and what used to be a classic matchup between the Packers and the Niners. But those days are gone because the Niners are just in shambles right now. They're falling apart, just bursting at the seams. And they're going to have a rough season, and the Packers should blow them out in this game. They'll win this one by like 21 points in my estimation. But that brings us to Week 5, October 11th, another Sunday game, this time at 1 o'clock. Back in Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, hosting the St. Louis Rams, and they shouldn't have too much problem with the Rams. The Rams have a big question mark at quarterback. How is Nick Foles going to be able to perform? Are they going to be able to run the ball? They do have a talented defense that will give Rodgers some trouble because they got a really good pass rush. But Rodgers, no matter how good a defense is, he will always put up the points. He's going to put up 20-plus points. They should be able to hold the Rams to less than that. I don't really see them having too much of a problem with this game. And to remain undefeated at this point in the season, going 5-0. Now, week 6, October 18th, another Sunday game. This one, a 4:25 kickoff at home in Lambeau Field, hosting the San Diego Chargers. You see 4 of the first 6 games are at home. In this stretch, they have 4 out of 5 games at home. This one against San Diego, I believe they can beat the Chargers. It's going to be a tough game. The Chargers are good. They have actually a pretty rough schedule to start with. 4 out of these first 6 games are against pretty tough teams. They only have 2 games that are maybe easy games with the Niners and Bears, but I think they can win this one, still remain undefeated, 6-0, heading into the bye week in week 7. So then coming out of the bye week in week 7 is week 8, November 1st, another Sunday night game in primetime, 8:30 kickoff, this time in Denver against the Broncos. And what would have been a good matchup last year, but I think that time has finally caught up to Peyton Manning. We saw that Peyton was struggling at the end of last season, and I think that those struggles continue. Peyton's a Hall of Famer, but his time is up. Time catches up to all of us. It's just a fact of life. And Aaron Rodgers is in his prime. He's at the apex of his career, and he should show that. It's going to be kind of like a passing of the torch where Peyton, he's pretty much done, and Aaron Rodgers is taking the mantle as being the number 1 quarterback. Definitely in the argument, that's for sure, without a doubt. He's definitely the best at throwing the deep ball. There's no question about that in Aaron Rodgers. So I think they'll still be undefeated at this point. They'll be 7-0 heading into week 9, November 8th, 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. They'll be going to Carolina to face the Panthers, their second road game in a row. And I think they should have no problem beating Carolina. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to have a rough season. I think they didn't really have a good season last year. They won the division in the worst division in football last year, which isn't saying really much. And they pretty much can perform the same as they did last year, except that they won't win the division. But they will definitely get beat here by the Packers. The Packers will have no problem taking out the Panthers, even in Carolina on the road. So they'll still be undefeated at this point. They'll be 8-0 9-0 rather, heading into week 10. No, 8-0. So they'll be week 10, November 15th, 1 o'clock kickoff, hosting the Detroit Lions. And this will be a tough game, division rival. And it's actually the first game in a stretch of 4 division games that they have that's actually bookended with Lions. First, they're going to be hosting the Lions. Then they go to Minnesota. Then they host the Bears. Then they go to Detroit. But here in this game, it's in Lambeau Field, and I think they can beat the Lions at home. It's very closely contested between these two teams, and the Lions are right there, nipping at their heels. But in Lambeau Field, that will give the edge, with the excitement, the fans, the energy. That will be the difference. And so then week 11, still undefeated at this point, 10-0. Actually, 9-0. So then November 22nd at 1 o'clock, going to Minnesota. And so they'll be in Minnesota against the Vikings. And the Vikings are going to be better than they were last year, but I still think that they won't have much trouble going into Minnesota and beat them. They're just a better team all around. And so then week 12, still undefeated, another Sunday night game, their 3rd Sunday night game of the season, their 4th primetime game of the season. This one, 8:30 kickoff, is always on Sunday night, hosting the Chicago Bears, the second game and against the Bears during the season, and they'll sweep the season series, remaining undefeated. So they'll be undefeated, beating the Bears at this point, 11-0, heading into week 13, December 3rd, Thursday night football, their final primetime game of the regular season, their first Thursday night game, like I said, their 5th primetime game, 5th and final primetime game of the regular season. So everybody around the country is going to be able to see plenty of the Packers. But this kickoff, 8:25 on Thursday night in Detroit against the Lions, division rivals, the 4th of 4 division rivalry games in a row for the Packers at this point. And I think this is finally when they lose a game. They lose their first game of the season and will be undefeated no more as the Lions hand them their first loss. This splits the season series with Detroit, where they win in Green Bay, but the Lions win in Detroit. So now heading into week 14, December 13th, 4:25 kickoff Sunday. And this is a game against the Cowboys in Lambeau Field. So the Cowboys are going to come to town. It's another classic matchup, but I believe that they definitely have the Cowboys beat this year. Cowboys are going to have struggles with their running game. Running back by committee never really works. Maybe they will make it work, but I don't think so. And they've got a much better defense in Green Bay than the Cowboys have, so they'll be able to shut down Tony Romo, force some turnovers, and they'll be able to put up plenty of points on the Cowboys and win that game pretty handily, in my opinion. So it takes us to Week 15. They'll be going to Oakland to face the Raiders. So going against the Raiders, and I actually think this will be a lot closer game than people will expect, because I think the Raiders are going to have a lot better season than people are expecting, but still it won't be enough to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, as the Packers will go into Oakland and beat the Raiders, as they'll get back on a winning streak. This will be 2 wins in a row after their first loss of the season. But then in Week 16, December 27th, another Sunday game. This one a 4:25 kickoff. They're going to Arizona against the Cardinals, and this will be their second loss of the season, in my estimation. You know, it's okay to lose to Arizona in Arizona. It's a tough team. They got such a tough defense. A lot of this depends on if Carson Palmer is still healthy at this point in the season, and that's a big question mark. So if there's no Carson Palmer, then I think the Pack could win this game. And they could win it even with Carson Palmer in there. But I just think on the road, this is going to be a tough one at this point in the season. I think that the Cardinals will hand them their second defeat of the season. And so then they finish up against division rival, the Minnesota Vikings, January 3rd, Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's in Lambeau Field, and they'll get back in the win column and finish the season 14-2 and sweep the season series versus the Vikings. So I think they'll sweep the Bears, sweep the Vikings, split with the Lions into the division, take the division with a record of 14-2, and make the playoffs and have a first-round bye and secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs as the number 1 seed in the NFC. And so they had that first-round bye. Then after the first-round bye, I think in the wild card, Detroit will be in there, and they'll advance. And so then you'll have Green Bay and Detroit going at it in the divisional round. So when they go at it in the divisional round, it'll be in Green Bay, and I think the Packers win that game. They beat them a second time in Lambeau Field, and that'll take them to the NFC Championship game, where I'm picking them to face the Seattle Seahawks for the second time in the season, having beat them in Week 2 in Lambeau Field, and now getting to host them a second time. And that's if the Seahawks make it to the championship game. It's going to be tough for them. They've been in the last couple Super Bowls. They played some long seasons, but I think they will be there. And it'll be a classic matchup. It always is when the Seahawks and the Packers get together. And I think that actually the Packers are going to beat them for the second time in 2015, having beaten them back in Week 2 on Sunday Night Football and then beating them in the NFC Championship. So they'll get their revenge. And so then the Packers will be back in the Super Bowl. They will be in Super Bowl 50. So Super Bowl 50, I'm picking it to be the Patriots and the Packers. And I'm picking the Patriots to run the gamut and take Super Bowl 50 and repeat. Although I would not be shocked to see the Packers win. And if the Patriots aren't there, I don't see who could beat the Packers other than the Patriots. My other pick would be maybe coming out the AFC, the Bengals, possibly the Colts, even though I like the Bengals more than the Colts. So maybe they face the Bengals. I think they could beat the Bengals. And so the Packers have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. If I wasn't biased towards the Patriots, I might just be picking the Packers, even though a lot of people are saying that because of Jordy Nelson going down that their season's done. But they're more than just one player. They're the total sum of all their parts. They are a complete team. And the thing is you saw in the preseason with the Packers, they had guys you didn't even know who they were running those same routes like Jordy does and same results. And it was Brett Hundley who was throwing the ball to him. So you don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to have success with the receivers that are doing this with Brett Hundley throwing on the ball? I mean, come on. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a big year. Obviously, the Packers are going to win the division, although they do have the Lions to contest with, and the Vikings will be better. And I would think the Bears would be better, but I have them at 4-10. If you saw my season preview for the whole, league, I picked every single, game and team, but you can check that out. It's on the channel. Just go to the playlist or look at the videos, and you'll find it, no problem. But yeah, so I think the Packers, like I said, they're going to have a phenomenal year. They'll be in the Super Bowl 14-2. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about the roster? What do you think about the injuries? What do you think about Jordy Nelson? What do you think about A.J. Hawk not being with the Packers anymore? And what do you think about the regular season schedule and my predictions? What are your predictions? Let me know in the comments section. I'm definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend and enjoy all the sports.